As a shoutcaster, producing from your home or at live events, you're gonna need lots of different equipment. We're gonna go down this list and look at all the different needs that a shoutcaster may have when they start their career and when they progress through skills and talent and levels. For a beginner, you definitely need a computer with internet or a laptop, definitely a microphone, of course, a camera, and some headphones. As you progress to more of an intermediate level, you will need things like lighting, a green screen, and some video editing software so you can update your reels and your demos. And lastly, for advanced shoutcasters, it is good to have things like an audio mixer to work on your levels, some broadcasting software, and maybe even produce your own content or shoutcast from home. And lastly, some hotkeys or a stream deck are really helpful when transitioning between scenes. Now, since this video is being made in the fall of 2022, some of these items and prices really will reflect the market as of today. They won't change much, but you'll be able to use this video as a reference for any time in the future. So as we jump into the beginner section, we look at computers or laptops, definitely with internet, and we'll rank these items based on good, better, and best. Right now, an i5 computer or a Ryzen 5 are kind of your good level shoutcasting computers that you can use. For better, an i7 or a Ryzen 7, and for best, an i9 or a Ryzen 9. Now you're probably wondering, what does this mean? Well, these are computer chip processing products by Intel or AMD that are the most common and standard processors. The more production you do, the more editing you do, and the more fancy your shoutcasting or streaming or production may get, you want to go to best. But a shoutcaster can start with good and still be effective in a very professional way. Make sure you have at least one monitor for good and internet that is at least 100 megabits up and down, as well as a keyboard and mouse. As you step up to better, for sure, get faster internet to avoid any lag or latency. And getting a second monitor or even a third monitor is really important because broadcasting may require you to look in different spots to analyze gameplay or your stream or production. Then for the best setup with that Intel i9 or Ryzen 9, or in the future, who knows, i11 or Ryzen 11, have those same monitors, but you probably want it to be a high-powered gaming computer with a really good graphics card, like an NVIDIA or an AMD graphics card. And make sure that internet is faster too. You don't want to miss out. Now, the next level for microphones at the beginner level, you have good, better, and best from a gaming headset to better like a USB microphone with a pop filter to screen all the spits and pops from your lips, to best to something like a compressor microphone that plugs in with XLR cables to a mixer. As you can hear, I'm talking on my Blue Yeti mic that I've had for many years, which is a really good mic. But when I talk on my headset, it may sound a little different, and I don't even think it's in stereo, and it's probably a little scratchy. The next level in beginner is the camera, which is important for streaming your face and your brand to the public. It's important to have a camera so you can connect with the audience. And when we look at good, better, and best, we want to think about resolution. For good, we look at 720p. For better, we look at 1080p. And for best, we look at 4K or even soon 8K. Just remember, if you're using something that is good at 720p, you may look a little more grainy over the internet. 1080p is a little bit better and a little more crisp. And 4K, which I'm streaming on now on this camera, which is a Logitech Brio 4K, I look a little bit better, but I'm also just recording, not streaming over the internet. Plus, I've got some great lighting in front of me and behind me that we'll talk about later. And now to wrap up for beginners, what you'll need is a good pair of headphones. With good, better, and best, you're just simply looking at good as in something that's wired and you can hear well. For better, like the level I have, is wireless and it looks cool. But to go even higher to best with something wireless and flashy that makes you look like a really cool gamer. And it's probably good for gaming as well when you're playing things like Fortnite or FPS shooter games. This one's not too big of a need as you get higher in level, but it's important to hear things like the gameplay or even the production crew that's talking to you from Discord or other ways that they communicate. Now, as we jump into the intermediate section, we are going to talk about lighting. Lighting is very important when it comes to the production value of your brand and your persona. When we look at good, better, and best, usually most people start with a ring light in good because it's simple. It's usually on an adjustable gooseneck where you can put it, or it's on a stand in front of you. But the issue may arise where in your eyeballs you will see rings as a reflection. The next level up in better is having a key light. It should be some sort of softbox with a diffuser that doesn't shine too bright. If I take my remote here and change my lighting a little bit, you'll notice how I get brighter and darker depending on how high or low I have the lighting. My key light is at a 45-degree angle from me, which is beneficial when I look into the camera. You can't see the reflection of the light as well unless I look that direction. And a key light helps giving the Da Vinci triangle on my cheek as lighting and shade. Just a technique you can learn more about on different YouTube videos about lighting. That's where I learned. And lastly, in best, behind me, I've got two different LED panel lights that are shining, one red and one blue. I can change it to multiple colors if I'd like, or make the whole entire wall one color. I also have my wall painted a specific gray so that it bounces off colors a little bit better. But as we'll get into the next section with green screen, we'll talk more about lighting. But still, having some sort of backlight is very important. It may not even be ones you shine on the wall, but ones that shine from behind you to give you lighting on your back, which helps with resolution on your camera, as well as the green screen we're about to talk about. Next in intermediate is the green screen. The green screen is beneficial for shoutcasting in many different ways, not only to help you produce something different than just your wall in your bedroom, but sometimes when you shoutcast for different organizations or companies, they require you to use a virtual background or some sort of standard graphic behind you. They may even want you cut out so you are just a head and shoulders floating on the screen. If you don't know what a green screen does or is, a green screen or a blue screen is all really about being able to erase that green or that blue, and in editing or in stream, place you anywhere on top of a layer so that you can be shown without the background. An example you may have seen in movies of something like Thor flying in a Marvel movie, and you see the behind the scenes where there's a bunch of green walls. That's the high production part. This is just something you put up behind you. And when we look at good, better, best, there are some important things to think about because lighting can be very tricky with green screens. I know this firsthand when I bought some cheap cloth at Walmart and put it up on my wall with all the wrinkles, and the creases would show on my stream. For the good level, they attach some really cool things that you can attach to your chair or your gaming chair that is just a circular green panel, which is helpful for production because you can crop out everything outside of that panel. For better, I would go with a fabric called muslin or muslin, I don't know, or muslin, green or blue, of about a 10 by 10 piece of fabric. You can attach it to the wall or hang it from your ceiling, but it's important to know how far back it is based on your lighting, which we're going to talk a little bit more about here in a second. Because for the best level, I use something that's wrinkle free. It helps eliminate errors when you're trying to erase that green from your production. And what I've got is a 9-foot wide by 20-foot long, so I can actually stand on it and produce something you can see my whole body in. However, when we talk about all of this, lighting is extra important for green screens. Not just a key light and not just a backlight, but also lighting on the green or blue screen. At the best level, you may have 5 or 6 lights just to keep the green screen from showing up in your production. You'll have to play around with it, try some different lighting, and watch a lot of YouTube videos. And for the last section in intermediate, we look at video editing software. Now, video editing software is good for post-production, which is important for you to get jobs and further your career in shoutcasting. There are a lot of really great apps out there, and a few I'll give recommendations for here. For the good, better, best, we basically go from free to cheap to expensive. And I'll also throw in some programs for editing graphics and not just video. CapCut is a new free program you can use on your phone or other devices that's really easy to edit and where I make most of my TikToks. And for free graphic apps, things like Adobe Express, GIMP, or Procreate are really good programs to help you learn and draw or create a logo maybe. For better, programs that are cheaper that do a lot of the work of the best are programs like Affinity or DaVinci's Resolve. And then for best, I use things like Adobe Creative Suite with Premiere, Photoshop, and Illustrator. Right now, I'm recording this video on OBS, which I'll talk about next, but I'm editing it in Adobe Premiere. all the cuts and transitions, and there's a lot of stuff that I've taken out. Those are all gone because I've edited them in Adobe Premiere. Now, as we move into the last part of advanced, we talk about broadcasting software. Now, this is important not only for you to have if you're trying to create those demos or reels and using your video editing software, but if you're producing your own shows or your own streams, a broadcasting software is very, very important to get your content out there live to the audience. The good, better, best is simple. Good is stuff that's free. Things like Twitch Studio or Streamlabs Desktop. The next level up at better is what I use exclusively is OBS, Open Broadcast Software. It's free, it has a ton of plugins you can do really cool transitions and things with, and it gets the job done. And for best, a program like vMix is really, really powerful, but can be expensive. But if you think about a TV studio, they probably start off with a program like vMix and then use some other standard in the industry. But the broadcast software is important, especially if you're producing your own content or recording something for your career. The second section in advanced is an audio mixer. Now, as you heard earlier, I was talking on my headset. I also use audio mixers to make sure my mic and my voice sound good. I have things like a gate and a compressor that keeps my levels within a certain range. Rather, if I scream really loud, the speakers may bust or crack if you go too loud, or if I'm too soft, not hear me. You may not hear me. From good, better, best, we look at things like Voicemeeter Banana or Adobe Audition as programs that are good for mixing your volumes and your levels. As you go up to better, programs like a Wavelink or a Go XLR are really good at using digital sliders and faders. And in best, you could use big mixers that are on your table to adjust, like you may see at the back of a concert. Audio mixing is very important, but also takes a lot of knowledge, and that's why it's in advanced. And lastly, for the advanced, something like a Stream Deck or a Hotkey product is super helpful for you to be able to produce your own content as well as stream and shoutcast at the same time for your own events. There's not a lot of need for them if you go to live events or you're doing things starting out, but if you're running production and you're using that open broadcast software and you're transitioning between gameplay and your face, you want to have something quick to push so you can do it off screen without looking down or moving to another screen to click a button. It's just important for that level. And that's it. We've done an overview of beginner, intermediate, and advanced, good, better, best, for all the things you need with equipment for shoutcasting. Thanks.